shout out to the players that are actually playing out their games though. Riser played against Kiwian, Exo Striker played against Rebellion. At least some of them are playing out their games. Meanwhile, here we go. We have our own series to follow, one where there is no walkover, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Data C ESL, we have the orange orange Terran player himself, representing Kai Z Gaming, hailing from the land of Poland. It is Spirit. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Data C ESL, we have the cowboy himself. No cap, hailing from the land of the Netherlands, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. So the reason why I couldn't find Harstem was because he wasn't called Harstem on Europe. That explains it. That explains it. Here we go. That cowboy versus the Spirit. Who comes out on top? I'm sure Harstem was watching that last series pretty diligently at how Spirit was playing things out. I'm sure they're well versed with each other and he's well aware of how Spirit likes to play. So yeah, we'll see how this series turns out here and how Harstem differs from a player like Goblin. Specifically, Goblin opening up Stargate every single game. Moondance is a little bit different. It's a different map, to be fair, so we had a very different opener. Maybe that's going to give Harstem some ideas if we do end up on Moondance. But I think the most interesting thing here is that unlike Goblin, Harstem doesn't send a probe out on the map. He doesn't send a probe out to harass and be annoying and tase away at the SCV. He's not really too concerned with that. He is still scouting with his worker, but he didn't try and delay the CC. Meanwhile, Spirit opts to go for a Marine first opener, so less concerned with scouting, more concerned with being efficient with his gas. And just scouting around with his Marine, making sure there's nothing crazy going on. We do eventually have that probe scout, and Harstem dips in, confirms the Marine, confirms that okay, he doesn't have to worry about a Reaper. And now we see a very different kind of Protoss player. You know, not just that Harstem is different, but we see a Twilight Council opener instead of a Stargate. This entire day we've been seeing nothing but Stargate play, but now we see a Twilight Council first. So Harstem less concerned again with scouting, with dealing economic damage, more concerned with having a solid opener here, I imagine, with Blink Stalkers. From this Twilight Council though, going straight into a Robo. Oh my god. Very quick tech here from Harstem. Meanwhile, going to be poking and prodding with this Adept. If at any moment he finds a way into the natural base, that'll be amazing. That'll be beautiful. Meanwhile, he does see the Hellions as they come out. Oh, so he's going to be getting ready at home, going for the full wall off. An interesting, honestly, a really interesting choice here from Spirit. The fact that he went for Hellions despite not going for a Reaper, that means that if there was a full wall off with a unit, that he can't kind of force his way in with a KDA charge. So really interesting use of Hellions. He is going for a drop, so I imagine a Hellion drop? Interesting. I mean, more than likely a Widowmine drop, but again, multi-pronged harassment coming out here from Spirit. Looking to be pretty aggressive here in the early game. Meanwhile, back at home, there is Blink. We are going to be seeing some Stalkers to help defend. Observer already coming out. And here comes that drop, a little bit of everything. Again, the idea here is to pull apart the army, make sure that there is no wall, Hellions can slip on in, and roast up that mineral line. Oh, but this does get scouted by the Observer. Very nice scout here by Harstem. He's fully aware of what's coming his way. Now he's getting in position. We just see the drop head towards the natural, not the main. And we see a full wall off immediately. And just like that, the Hellions aren't going to be a part of this at all. Nice target fire on the first Widowmine. Marines get cleaned up. There's only a single Widowmine left. Widowmine shot is going to go off on the army. But after all said and done, pretty good defense so far. Meanwhile, we do see a drop into the main base. We do see the Hellions rotate over, and this time they will get some probes. Honestly, a great pivot there for Spirit. We saw that the initial drop honestly did no damage at all. It was shut down pretty hard. Spirit recognized that, so he just bounces back. He goes into the main base with those Hellions, gets 8 probes. Not bad. The problem with this is that he gives up map control. There are no Hellions, there are no Marines, there is nothing. And now, Harstem is going across the map. What's scary is he has Blink, he also has high ground vision with his Observer. He doesn't have to just go for the natural, he can go straight into the main. We do have a tank in the main base though, so Spirit is covering the main, but the natural is looking a little bit exposed, only a single bunker here instead. Oh boy, Harstem has to pick and choose his battles. We also have another bunker in the main base. Spirit knows how much danger he's in. Oh my god. Meanwhile, we do have a shade into the main. Oh, and here we go. Harstem, he recognizes there is no tank in the natural. The bunker goes down immediately. And how much more damage can be dealt? We do have another tank here on the high ground, but the low ground base, the natural base, is under threat. Oh, SCVs falling left and right. At the same time, we do have a little bit of Raven harass across the map. 2 probes are going to go down, but the tank gets focused down. Ay, ay, ay. And this may just be a little bit too much. The Marines are stimless. They have no upgrades. They're getting picked off one after the other. Where are our tanks, by the way? Looks like not just one, but both tanks were focused down in the end. And just like that, this is again too much damage. The Raven is doing what he can across the map. 4 probes did go down. Meanwhile, we had the blink on forward. We had the focus fire of the 3rd tank. And the Blink Stalker control is just a little bit too damn good. Spirit forced to give up his natural. It shouldn't go down. We have plenty of SCVs here to repair. There we go. There is that repair. But again, without Stim, like Harstem, he can just force his way up. If he wanted to, he can even aggressively blink forward. Tank comes out. Oh, but there is that blink. He was waiting for it. Stim is going to finish up in a couple of seconds, but we have 3 Marines. 3 Marines, Papi. There is the Stim. Oh, it's not going to be enough. Here we go. A couple more Marines coming out just in time. Spirit trying to hold on to his main base, but he just can't do it. It's too many Stalkers. Raven doing what he can, but GG gets called, and Harstem takes the first game. Ay, ay, ay. GG, well played. And that's the problem with being so aggressive early on if you're Spirit. What I will say is that Spirit didn't scout the initial tech. He didn't see that it was a Twilight Council opener. And Twilight Council openers have that much more counterattack potential compared to a Stargate where you only have Oracles and Phoenixes, right? That's the difference. So he gambled a little bit there. And he gambled wrong because after losing his initial push, suddenly, oh no, I know how much danger I'm in. I'm throwing down bunkers, I'm throwing down tanks. But tank production, it's limited, you know? He only had 1 and he could only protect his main. He had to make a choice. Oh. Harstem abused that choice, already up 1-0. And what's scary is that this is a best of 3, not a best of 5. We could be going in to our final map. Here we go, and game 2 is going to be on Moondance. We've seen a lot of Moondance here in this matchup. A surprising amount of Moondance. Oh. And we'll see who's going to be dancing after this series, after this game, because spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Moondance ESL, we have the Polish Terran player himself representing KyZ Gaming, currently down in this series, but not out, not yet. It is Spirit. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Moondance ESL, we have his opponents. The Blue Protoss player hailing from the land of the Netherlands, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem, aka the Cowboy. Shaking my head. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, we'll see where this series does take us. Again, because we're on Moondance, it's a little bit of a quirky map. We have these pocket bases. We've seen Goblin make use of this and go for proxies. In general, it's harder to go for these 2 base all-ins because your opponent can defend on 3 bases technically, and get a safe kind of pseudo base behind it as well. It's a very interesting map. And again, I really appreciate that when it comes to the new map pool, we're going to have so many maps that have like all these like quirky and interesting features that do come into play and do force different games. Meanwhile, Spirit sneaking out across the map with his SCV, getting behind that mineral line, going for the Reaper first. We should be seeing a bunker thrown down across the map. Meanwhile, Harstem does have a Zealot on the way, maybe anticipating this from his opponent. This time going across the map with his probe being a little bit annoying, trying to delay that CC. And there is that bunker. And we did see a cancel on that Zealot, so Harstem a little bit in the dark, is a little bit unawares. Again, this bunker isn't going to do too much, just going to delay mining time at the natural base. A solid win here for Spirit if he's able to finish it. You know what, here we go. Reaper is zooming across the map. The bunker will finish in the end, and Harstem, it's going to be a little bit annoying. Going to have to throw down, we're going to have to start up his Stalker, going to have to throw down a shield battery. Life just going to be that much more difficult here for Harstem. Meanwhile, Reaper dancing a little bit with the Adept. Has to be careful not to get focused down. Playing with fire, playing with fire. But yeah, the control is good enough, and ooh, Harstem goes for a very fast third Nexus. And doesn't go for a shield battery. And also doesn't go for a Stalker. What is happening right now? Okay, so because of the delayed shield battery, honestly, Spirit, he's going to be denying a lot of mining time here, more than is normal, to be honest. And this may tip Spirit off. Like, this is a little bit awkward, so Spirit may be looking to scout a little bit harder with his Reaper and figure out what exactly is going on. Meanwhile, the Adepts doing what they can to deal with this bunker. But again, Adepts, they take a long time to focus down a bunker. Like, they just don't really have the DPS for it. So we're going to be here for a while. Meanwhile, across the map, Widow Mines are on the way. I'm sure a drop is going to be on the horizon here for Spirit. Finally, with the help of the Stalker, this bunker is going to go down. But I guess a way to make up for all this lost mining time is this fast third Nexus. We have 3 workers being produced at the time here from Harstem. And Spirit is not going to check. Oh, instead he goes into the main base, and this should be a tell. He sees the Twilight Council is still only just now on the way. That's massive. Twilight Council should already be done by now, but why was it delayed? Why was it delayed, Spirit? These are the questions that he has to ask himself. But yeah, really interesting response here from Harstem. He's still going for his Robo follow-up as well, going for his Blink Stalkers. Now Spirit is going to be going for that drop. So this drop can find a little bit more success because the Twilight Council was delayed. We don't have Blink, so Blink Stalkers aren't going to be here to shut down the drop. On top of that, Blink is even being delayed because we have Charge on the way instead. I kind of like this. Again, we're going to have a lot of minerals to work with. Not that much gas, again, because of all the delays and stuff like that. So we can hit a pretty strong timing with Zealots. Meanwhile, ooh. First Widow Mine already being shut down. Drop is sneaking into the natural base, though again, Spirit still hasn't seen the pocket. Oh my god, okay, we do have a response from Harstem. He's not going to lose too much here to this Widow Mine. Shouldn't lose too much to the Widow Mine. And Spirit rotates around and now sees that base. God, Widow Mine does end up burrowing in the end, forcing some lost mining time. A couple of probes going down. Oh, and the medevac is being zoned away. Oh god! Medevac is going to survive. Don't come back, puppy. Don't come back. Medevac is going to be focused down. Does barely survive, and yeah, this drop didn't do too much damage. 4 probes, but I mean, Harstem can afford to lose 4 probes because of the third Nexus. At least Spirit is able to scout and confirm what is going on, but he doesn't know that we have Charge instead of Blink. Quickly checking here, Templar Archives gets thrown down in the natural base as well, so Spirit is still in the dark when it comes to the overall army composition, but is still going for a very, very solid army of his own. By fire here. Marines, Marauders, 1-1 about to finish up as well. And going for Biomine, not Biotank. The factory mainly being used for add-ons early on and just pumping out nothing but Widow Mines. Interesting that the armory is hidden like this as well. Looking at the vision of Harstem, he did not see the armory. Oh. I'm curious as to why it's hidden, because like 1-1 just finished up, so he can go into a quick 2-2, I guess. The Widow Mine, sorry, the armory is going to obviously affect these Widow Mines as well. And we'll see how much damage they can get done. Again, Blink is still on the way, so there's a lot of potential in these drops. Do we have detection? That's probably the more important thing. We do have a robotics bay on the way. We do not have any observers. Uh-oh. This drop could do a lot. There is a spotter pylon here, so Harstem will have a bit of a heads up. Best case scenario for Harstem is that he's able to zone away this medevac before anything drops. Here we go. Harstem does see the medevac coming out here towards the main base. He does have stalkers on patrol. Oh. Does force a medevac back. Meanwhile, we hadn't. Meanwhile, we did have the army stim back. I believe the prism was spotted. That's why Spirit just runs all the way back into his main base. Did force a pretty massive stim though. Blink is going to finish up in time for this drop, by the way. We see a scan. Spirit sees the army, sees the stalkers. Wants none of that. We'll back off. And we'll see if he's able to finally make something happen here. A second Widowmine drop sneaking into the natural base. First one also going into the main. We see a blink on forward. First one does get denied. Second one, though, actually goes all the way into the pocket. Oh, and the burrow is going to be real. First couple of shots are going to be going up here on the army. Not on the economy. Oh. Harstem, very quick reaction. We do have the Widowmine trying to chase down those probes, but does get denied. Oof. And in the end, very solid response. We had 3 Widowmine drops, by the way. One trying to go into the main, one into the natural, one into the third. Oh god, they're gonna reset! They're gonna reset! No! Harstem! Ah! Oof. Okay, he responds just in time. And 11 probes in total have gone down this game. Was it worth it though? Because that was 6 Widow Mines. 5 of them went down. We have the 6th one here at the 4th base location. Triangular 3rd. But of course, Harstem expanded towards the south instead. Oof. So honestly, that could have been a lot worse for Harstem. That was very good crisis management. And now he's got his Colossus. He can get into his Disruptors. He's getting the ideal mid-game army. Meanwhile, we see a bit of a Zealot run by here. We do have some Widow Mines to help protect this base. Oh, but nice splits. And we're going to have to see it cancel. Might be cancel. Oh, can he save it? No, he cannot. Ghosts have been revealed though. Harstem fully aware of the EMPs. Has to be very careful with his army. He's got some nice tech, but again, doesn't have the numbers at the moment. Meanwhile, Spirit double expanding. You love to see it. Both his pocket and his 4th base. The army itself, pretty robust. You know, we got 2-2 on the way behind this. Got ship attack. And as it usually is, it's going to be all about the engagements. It's really cool to see that he went into very fast ghosts. Some players go lib first, but he's going to those ghosts. Liberators are going to be on the way soon, as the fusion core is going to be on the way for lib range. He doesn't have that yet though, so without Liberators, like Colossus and Disruptors can still really dictate the pace of the game and these fights. Once they come out, we're gonna have to see a Harstem transition a little bit. Meanwhile, the first Nova goes off, zones away the army. A couple of Stalkers going off as well. Oh, Harstem has to be a little bit careful as he's left with only 1 Nova. Gonna be trying to get his 5th base up and running. Spirit, again, very delicate dance here. He stims them forward, picks off a couple of units here and there. Nothing major, nothing major. Doesn't want to overcommit. Liberators are finally coming out. Lib range is on the way as well. Ooh. Nice couple of shots there going off on those tanks. And Liberators to begin with, I mean, they can do a lot, but in low numbers, Stalkers can deal with them. It's just later on where we have seen that transition to Skytoss, whether it's Tempest, whether it's Carriers. Usually Tempest. Harstem isn't quite set up for that yet, though. So trying to go for a couple of run-bys. Spirit has done a great job at really controlling his own side of the map. Because he was so aggressive, Harstem just didn't have any breathing room to send any run-bys out. So the 4th base is now up and running. We have our pocket base as well here as an orbital. So Spirit, his economy is honestly looking pretty beautiful. And because of that, he's maxed. He's ready to go. 3-3 is already on the way. Harstem still trying to catch up there. It's one of those things where, sure, Spirit may be ahead in supply, but, you know, Disruptors can always change everything. For a second Liberator. 3rd Liberator gets focused down. The Novas are going off on those tanks as well. Still no major hits on the Bio Army, but very nice target fire on those Liberators. This is what I mean. Liberators at low numbers can be dealt with by those Stalkers. With the Liberator count being reset, Harstem, there's no pressure to go into Skytoss. Meanwhile, we do see Spirit splitting up his army. Another force head towards the 3rd base. Sorry, 5th base. And with the EMPs, this base is going to go down. Harstem unable to really split up his army. Oh, nice stim there in the end. Spirit with his EMPs, like Harstem, I don't know if he really has enough here. He doesn't. Harstem being pulled apart, and this may just be a little bit too much. He's going to try and surround the army here with his Stalkers, but again, these are not going to be good trades. Stalkers go down. Can he get the ghosts? Looks like he barely will. Harstem trying to retake that 5th base. Does he have Storm? He does not. Okay, I was like, yo, he's got some High Templar. They're gathering up that energy, only used for Archons for the time being. Liberators are coming out in higher numbers, and now slowly Spirit can push Harstem back. Looks like he's going to try and flank the army, or at least make sure he himself doesn't get flanked. Liberator harassing the natural base. And what's scary is that in a couple of seconds, we're going to have 3-3. Meanwhile, the Novas go off. Doesn't connect with the army. Not yet. Not yet. We still have a couple more. A couple of decent connections, but he's also exposing his own Disruptors here. And with all those Novas going off, that means Spirit, there's nothing stopping him from stimming forward and taking down the space. He has the momentum, sends a force here towards that 5th. Liberators cover his backside. We see the blink on forward, but where are those Disruptors? Here we go. Finally, they're coming on in. The splits are going to be okay. Oh, good. And GG gets called. Spirit will take game number 2. Harstem just being starved out there. Liberators were harassing. He couldn't get a 5th base up and running, and he just wasn't trading that well. The Disruptors, we never saw a single good Nova there. And Spirit, he just did a really good job at not just being aggressive, but also just establishing such a strong economy behind it. It's something that I guess we also have to take into account as well, is that because we have a free base in the natural, in the pocket, we have one additional orbital as well, which means we have more mules. It means we have more scans. It doesn't have to be a planetary like it usually is on some of these other maps. So a Terran player in this game can be that much more greedy. Or their economy is that much more powerful, I should say. And with that, GG, well played. Spirit dominating that last game, and now we're going into game number 3. The ace match. And finally, I've been waiting for this map. For the first time in today's qualifier on this stream, Cosmic Sapphire. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Cosmic Sapphire ESL, we have the Polish Terran player himself representing KZ Gaming. KZG. It is Spirit. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Cosmic Sapphire ESL, we have the Polish. Sorry, the yellow and the orange really messed me up. But we have the blue Protoss player hailing from the land of the Netherlands, representing Shopify Rebellion. It's the cowboy. It is Harstem. Here we go. One of the larger, if not the largest map in the map pool. You'll love to see it. Because it's so large, you could argue maybe it's a little bit easier to take some of these bases. Some of them, yes, but not all of them. There is that gold base towards the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Meanwhile, towards the top right, the potential fourth base is also quite exposed. Taking a fourth can be really difficult on this map, especially compared to, you know, Moondance or Data Sea. Oh. So we may see things really pop off then and there. Or we may not see things last that long. The other thing to bear in mind is that last game, Harstem went for a much more economic opener. Game 1, he was the aggressor. He started off with Twilight Council, he went for Blink Stalkers, and he was able to pull Spirit apart. But in a longer game, in a more macro game where Spirit can really get into the swing of things and actually get his economy up and running, we saw that Harstem was struggling a little bit more. What I will say is that fast third base from Harstem on Moondance specifically was because of Moondance, because you can be that greedy and that economic on that map. So I don't expect to see that again. I do expect to see a faster or a more regularly timed Twilight Council instead from Harstem, and expect him to be that much more aggressive. We'll see though, we shall see. Spirit does go for the Marine first, doesn't even go for an SCV Scout, gonna be a little bit more defensive, a little bit more greedy. Now going for his Reaper across the map. And there is that Twilight Council. Now, can you be aggressive on this map? That's the thing, right? That's the difficult thing to talk about, because it doesn't, like, there's a very narrow choke point coming into the natural base. Because of that, it's going to be that much more difficult to really dive in with your Stalkers. Ooh, already one probe going down. Oh, can he get it? Ooh. No, he cannot. Spirit will get away here with his Reaper. But again, because this natural entrance is so narrow, it doesn't take that much to wall off. It doesn't take that much to defend. And that goes both ways, to be fair. Meanwhile, Spirit once again wants to be a little bit aggressive. He's going for his Hellions, as he has gone for every single game this series. Only goes for a single Hellion this time, though. They're not overcommitting, a little bit more concerned with the more standard Widowmine drop instead. Meanwhile, the Reaper tried to get into the main base, but was just shut down. Hellion does slip on into the natural, though, and it's going to get a couple of volleys off. How many probes? One so far. Two. Oh, he gets two. And he gets away. But the cars are real. But again, that was only the beginning. Spirit just confirming the opener. You know, he hasn't seen the Twilight Council, but he saw the robo on the lower ground, so he knows it's not a Stargate. He should be aware of that at least. Meanwhile, we have a Viking on the way to help zone away the War Prism. And that's the other important thing to bear in mind, is that we have a War Prism, not an observer, on the way for Harstem. So he does want to be that much more aggressive this game, more than we've ever seen from him before. It's going to be able to warp in aggressively across the map. How many gateways do we have behind this? We have 3 gates in total. Not bad, not bad. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 4th gate thrown down. Widowmine drop sneaking into the main base. Do we have Stalkers in position? We do not. Stalkers are in between the bases. And when he's moving out, or he's thinking about it. Here we go. The drop is going to slip on in. Harstem does have eyes on it. First Widowmine does borrow. Second one. Ooh, Medevac barely survives. He's got to get into the natural. So far, a nice shutdown here of this drop, but at least Spirit was able to scout all of this. I don't think he saw the Prism though, and that's a little bit worrisome, but Have a look at the tanks. The tank is here in the main base. Nothing at the natural though, but again, the natural is a little bit more heavily fortified with a second bunker. Harstem moving out with his entire army, does poke in and does confirm the defensive position of his opponent. Does see both bunkers. Does have the observer in between the bases as well. Oh, we see a scan, does spot the observer. And we could see a blink to the main. But with a tank and a bunker, I don't know if that's the wisest choice. He can at least get the deeper. And I love that Harstem, he's not tunnel visioning too much. He expands behind this. He's like, you know, he had the option to reinforce and be hyper aggressive, but because Spirit's defenses are so good, he's like, okay, no, I'm not going to throw this away. I'm just going to expand. Behind this, Robotics Bay thrown down, so we're not seeing that kind of like mass economic, like swarm toss style. No, we're going to be seeing Colossus, Disruptors, more standard play. Love to see it. Meanwhile, a drop does get intercepted here by Harstem. Again, doing a great job at containing Spirit here to 2 bases. Of course, what's going to be scary is when he breaks out of these 2 bases. Like, maybe we got Stim, we got +1, we got Concussive Shell, this 3rd base finally on the way. But that's why Harstem has to be on point here with his army control. When the move out does happen, he needs to be here to slow it down. Meanwhile, we do end up having that charge. Interesting choice. We actually don't have any Colossi. We are going straight into Disruptors. Right, here we go. Spirit, he stims on top of the army. He's going to get a couple of Stalkers here. For one moment, Harstem wasn't looking. He wasn't paying attention. Spirit wanting to hit a timing with his upgrades. Here we go. He's moving out across the map. Harstem does see this, by the way. Is he ready? He has his first Disruptor. Uh-oh. Nova goes off! No! Oh! And because of the side blockers, Spirit did not see it coming. The juiciest Nova possible. Ay. Exclamation mark Funada, these steam vents. Because Spirit didn't see anything. We see a scan across the map. He confirms the 3rd base. He confirms the saturation. He knows that there's no like big all-in coming. But regardless, Harstem has a lot of momentum. It's still going to be difficult to break this natural base. Yo, he's going to push it anyway. That is a kill, not a cancel there on that bunker. War Prism is looking a little bit exposed. Looks like the Prism will go down. Oh my god, but Harstem doesn't care. Again, there's barely any bio to protect those tanks. The first tank does go down. Boys are being pulled left and right. There is no War Prism, so Harstem can't reinforce across the map, but he's warping in a couple of Stalkers back at home, and we have our Nova. Oh, forces the army back. We have a second Nova. Oh, Spirit, he's trying to focus it down. Disruptor goes off, does connect with the Widowmine workers, falling left and right. 20 SCVs go down. And Harstem doesn't have to end the game. He doesn't have to end it here. He may still do it though. Now that Nova goes off and it will connect with the Marauders. GG gets called and Harstem takes the series 2-1. Oh my god. The juiciest Nova possible. Spirit face checking the steam vents, runs into a massive shot. F's in the chat for all those Marines, and GG, well played. Harstem, he moves on to the upper bracket finals where he is going to be facing Trigger.